we have Brian from Utah. And Brian is calling about sex education, sexual shame, guilt, all of those things. Not necessarily HIV related, but I do want to take this call because I think it ties in well with everything else we've been talking about. Brian, welcome to the show. How can we help you tonight?
Hi, I'm so stoked to be here. I am a fairly new listener, and I am a recent former Mormon. Within the last year or so, I've left religion. I also was divorced in that time, and I'm mid-30s, cisgendered man. And anyway, I'm just looking for a little bit of help with delayed ejaculation issues. I am dating someone, and I feel like I'm back in my adolescence, where I'll feel guilt and shame creep in with sexual experiences and have a hard time coming. So anyway, I wondered if you guys could help educate me on that sort of thing. And I know I need to probably just be gentle with myself, and that it's been decades of indoctrination. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I can empathize with the idea of you're in a sexual situation where you're doing something that you've been told is probably bad, and you're like, oh, I did not develop these skills enough. I feel like an awkward 13-year-old. One of the first times I went out with a woman, I was like, I have no idea what to do. I am feeling very weird and guilty and just unsure of myself, and it did feel very much like, oh, I have not gotten up on this bicycle, right? Like, this is not something I have done in a long time. So I totally feel that, especially paired with the deconversion process and dealing with all of that indoctrination and looking at it for the first time as what it is. That's a whole lot. So I'm glad that you are aware that you should be gentle with yourself right now, because you should be. This is not going to be fixed overnight, but that's okay, because it doesn't have to be. And everybody does this at their own pace. So as someone without a dick, I think that's as much specific information that I can offer. But Christy, I'm curious what your thoughts are here.
Yeah, no, I almost want to just play your own words back to you, Brian, because I think that you already have a sense of what you're up against here. I want to say quickly, just congratulations on making those changes, on getting to this point in your life, and also remind you that, oh my God, you are just now arriving here. Why should you expect to have it all figured out and have everything laid out? You know, I don't want to at all be dismissive of what you're struggling with and how you're feeling through all of this, but I want to remind you that delayed ejaculation just means that you're not orgasming at the moment that you want to orgasm. And I think the challenge here is in changing that moment, changing that expectation on yourself, or that idea that you're supposed to orgasm at a particular time. Sex doesn't require orgasm to be incredibly fulfilling and meaningful and satisfying. And I know that that can seem like I'm saying, well, you're just going to have to deal with it. But I sincerely believe that if you remove your ejaculation as the goal of sex and stop worrying about the sex that you're not having, or the sex that or the way that sex should look, and move to this place where you're actually enjoying sex as it is, enjoying the sex that you are having, regardless of when or if you ever actually reach orgasm, that things will naturally start to develop a rhythm. Things will naturally start to fall into place. And a lot of these concerns will evaporate without you having done much of anything other than just enjoy yourself along the way. How does that resonate for you?
Yeah, no, that's super. I appreciate it. I do feel like I'm, such an efficiency-oriented human that I get frustrated when my conscious mind and my subconscious mind don't link up exactly.
Sure.
That is a thing. I feel that.
I
feel that. Can I just add one more thing, if it's okay?
Absolutely, Cynthia. Go ahead.
Oh, well, the only thing.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I know kind of what helped me as far as like even my deconversion journey was recovering from religion. I did
Mm,
call a couple of times, and also I looked at a lot, and they have, depending on like what you're going through, they have a plethora of resources that you can use in the toolbox to help you, with your situation, and including like, I love that they have like the secular therapy project, where you can actually, get hooked up with a counselor that can kind of help you through some of these different things. And I think that also too, as a person who has also come out of religion, who was very much so had like certain expectations when it came to sex, including like, even like, when it comes to masturbation, and loving myself, that, oh, that's bad, that's this, that's that. And it took a while for me to kind of stop using those as expectations.
mm,
So once I got to the point where I stopped putting expectations on what this should be, it became more enjoyable. And it's kind of like allowing yourself to just enjoy the time, enjoy the journey, enjoy the road, and how that looks is going to be different for everybody. And even if it's not to the point where you want it to be right now, like Jonathan said, like V said, that's okay. You know, I think that like oftentimes we constrain ourselves with these particular expectations, especially when it comes to sex. And and sex can look so many different ways, including sex with yourself. So enjoy
mhm,
it. Enjoy what you're feeling. Enjoy what it can do for you internally and externally. Just do and I'm not gonna say to stop thinking that way. No, you can't do that. And it's more so just like, again, just like I'm going to, it's kind of like you have to, you can learn how to do what like a lot of us like talk about as mindfulness, which is, observe the comings and goings of thoughts without judgment. And I know that is very difficult to do. So I would encourage you to find a way to not to be curious about this journey that you're on, and just be observant about this journey you're on in all aspects, and see where it takes you.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I thought that mindfulness would be, a key ingredient of things for a while, and for whatever reason, it's been difficult to, I guess, get started on that process.
Yeah.
Although most of the meaningful spiritual experiences I've had in the last 5 years have been in yoga, so I
there you
definitely
go.
Oh,
Yoga,
Yeah.
Insight Timer is
calling out
also
that
a really good Insight Timer is a really good free meditation app that has guided meditation that I have been utilizing a lot of recently. So I'd check that out if I were you. And also, before we let you go, Brian, I do want to emphasize the idea of communication with your partner as well. Because I can tell you from personal experience, I have been with multiple men, not this sounds weird, multiple people with penises who have deconverted and have been forthright from the get-go. Like, I have had sex once with this guy, and I still remember it fondly, even though he was like, so just so you know, I don't have a easy time coming, and I probably am gonna have to like jerk off after we have sex, but I want to have sex with you. I want it to be awesome. I want you to come. We had sex. It was awesome. And then he, finished himself off and we were good and we went to bed, right? Like, it's totally okay to expect your partner to be open to this and to not put pressure on you, even unknowingly, right? If you're not telling your partner this, you might be thinking, oh, they expect this of me. When if you just expressed, hey, here's the thing I'm dealing with, right? Here's a way that I'm going to need to get off tonight. Is that okay? If they're on board, that takes so much stress out of the situation and so much of that like performance anxiety, which
mm,
ultimately is not helping things. So, I mean,
Sure.
I don't know how communicative
absolutely.
have been with your partner, but I would encourage you to be forthright and to just trust them to trust you.
yeah.
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 Interestingly, I mean, I don't want to monopolize all of your time, but my partner's super generous. And what's funny is that in my 12-year marriage with a beautiful, wonderful human, I would find myself almost constantly fantasizing during sex. And my new sexual partner that I've been with for a couple of months is basically could be handpicked from those fantasies, if that makes sense. You know, she's like,
Well, nice.
yeah,
Wow.
all that kind of stuff. But it's so wild because I'll be having sex and my mind will still be like, okay, what should we think about? And I'm like, no, dummy, like we're right here, you know. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I like
And that push and pull tug on your focus and your presence may be part of what you're experiencing here. And I want to acknowledge that you're allowed to fantasize. That may not be the best way of engaging with your partner. That may not be the most satisfying sexual experience, but it might be a satisfying sexual experience. And that's not against the rules either. In terms of just very practical tips and tricks, I want to continue to highlight the fact that this is something that is, likely tied to some unrealistic or unhelpful expectations, and all of these other things that we've said about presence and mindfulness and all of that definitely still applies. But in terms of just sort of basic biology, I might encourage you to be, mindful of particularly things like alcohol and tobacco. Those are going to have pretty meaningful impacts on your ability to achieve orgasm. And if you are struggling to manage your own rhythms, I would encourage you to look into something like erotic meditation or erotic hypnosis, as well as just good old-fashioned jerk-off instruction videos from Pornhub or wherever else, because that type of material can give you an opportunity to become a little bit more comfortable with your own body, with your own rhythms and signals and sensations, and develop a somewhat greater awareness of what exactly your buttons are and how to get to where you want to go. While you're working on all of those things, though, I want to just continue to encourage you to be mindful, not to over optimize, not to feel like you need to fix this or that you need to, get the 12-piece wrench set out and try and adjust and tweak and play with every little piece. If you allow yourself to just enjoy the sex that you're having, without creating a bunch of anxiety and pressure about the sex you should be having or the sex that you're not having, many of these things will naturally start to ebb and disappear.
Awesome.
Well, we threw a lot at you tonight, Brian, but thank you so much for calling in. Feel free to call back in and let us know if you've tried some of these techniques or, how things are going. We'd love to continue this journey with you, but we will have to say goodnight right now as we are wrapping up the show in about 15 minutes. So thank you so much for calling in.
Thanks for holding space for me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks,
take
Brian.
care.